Hello everybody, my name is NCS07 and today I wanted to talk about a game that I've seen get slandered numerous times online. A game that has often been criticized as one of the most disappointing games for the Nintendo Switch. That game being Animal Crossing New Horizons. Ever since this game came out in 2020, I've seen many videos online and many different posts talking about the game, whether it's the game's various flaws, how long the game lasted, things of that kind of nature. Long story short, this game is pretty controversial in the Animal Crossing series and kind of for the Switch in general, but if you read the title of the video then you'd know my thoughts, but to say it here, I like Animal Crossing New Horizons. No, I don't think it's the best in the series, and I do think there are problems with the game that I'll get to, but personally, I feel like this game gets way more shit than it deserves, and I'm hoping today to shed some light on the positive aspects of this game. So, if you'll indulge me, today I'll be talking about Animal Crossing New Horizons and explain why I personally like this game. To briefly touch on the development history of the game, New Horizons initially started development after the release of Animal Crossing New Leaf in 2012, and for a long time, nothing was mentioned. That was until the September 2018 Nintendo Direct, when an Animal Crossing game for the Switch was teased, though it wouldn't be until E3 2019 when the game was fully revealed, showing off the various new elements of the game, as well as a delay from 2019 to March of 2020. However, right before the launch of New Horizons on March 20th, 2020, something big happened in the world that pretty much kept everyone indoors at all times. You know what I'm talking about. And since New Horizons is a life simulation game, when the game released, it was a huge financial success, selling over 45 million copies, making it the best-selling game in the series, and was also a place where many people would lurk during lockdown, as it was kind of one of the few games to play. So, yay for New Horizons. As for some of the unused content of the game, there's some debug modes to manipulate the camera, multiple textures that weren't used, reactions that were scrapped, some menu prompts that don't appear anywhere, as well as a museum shop that never made it in, and of course some regional differences with the game's logo, but that's kind of all the interesting stuff. So with some of the history of the game and scrapped material out of the way, let's really start talking about New Horizons and what I like about it. I think the best place to start off is with the visuals, and of course, by looking at the game, you can tell that this game looks really good. To be fair, all Animal Crossing games, even the shitty ones, all look good to an extent, and of course, that's because of the art style of the series, which looks so good in HD. The game also performs very well on the Switch, whether docked or in handheld mode. The only real thing I kind of wish they could have done is a 60 FPS option, though maybe that's asking too much. Maybe if the game gets an update for the Switch 2, that could happen. Regardless though, New Horizons looks really good whatever way you play. And yeah, I think we can all agree on that. Okay, time to stop delaying the inevitable. Let's talk about the gameplay itself and everything attached to it. Similar to the previous Animal Crossing games, New Horizons is a game where you're in charge of not just a town, but an island this time, with the goal of making this island into the best thing it can be. Like the previous games, you have villagers that you can talk to, a shop where you can buy various things like furniture, clothes, and tools, as well as working off a debt to a greedy raccoon, which honestly didn't take me long at all to do. You have a house that you can customize. There's many different things to do, like catch bugs, fish, or even swim and catch creatures underwater. Either take them to the museum or sell them to get more bells, and that's pretty much the basic gameplay of not just New Horizons, but for the entire series. And like I said before, the gameplay is still fun in this game, but where this game really differentiates itself is with the various new elements added to keep this game fresh. So let's get to that, starting with possibly one of the more polarizing new additions, the crafting system. For the first time in this series, you can use various different materials to build whatever you want, whether it be tools, furniture, or other goodies. As long as you have the materials, you're all set. Now, this system to me is kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, I like that this can work as an alternative way of getting furniture, and there are a lot of different recipes to unlock for many different items to craft. But not only do you have to unlock these recipes, which can be quite annoying, but this crafting system comes at the expense of your tools, as now these tools that you have, they can break after enough usage, which means once your fishing rod breaks, you have to spend more time to make or buy a new one. And while yes, it isn't a huge deal, I do feel like giving tools durability for the sake of the crafting system is kind of dumb. But overall, I think the crafting system is fine, though if it never appears again, I won't be sad. At least it does allow for some more customization of the island, and speaking of which, another new addition in the game is placing furniture outside, as opposed to only in your house, and honestly I'm surprised it took this long for the developers to include this. This can help make your island a lot more special than towns in previous games, especially with how easy it is to set everything up the way you want it. But to be completely honest, if you aren't watching the gameplay footage, I'm not really the best when it comes to customizing the island to its full potential. I like that the game offers a lot more customization options to your island, but I'm just not the kind of person for that. However, there are a decent amount of people that have made some really creative islands, and I highly recommend checking those out if you haven't before. There's also some smaller new neat additions, like the pole vault, which completely negates the point of rivers, a house customizer that's much better than pushing everything around, terraforming so you can just kind of rebuild the island however you want, and the Nook Miles, which gives you an incentive to do various activities to earn points, almost functioning like an achievement system. These are all great additions that keep the gameplay more fine-tuned than ever before. And overall, I think the gameplay of New Horizons is quite fun, being able to do what you want, having more options for customization, and some really fun multiplayer if you get the right people, and you've got a game that has a lot going for it. However, I think it's time that I address the various criticisms this game has received. While I think most sane people don't think New Horizons is a bad game, I do think there's a good portion of people that were left disappointed with this game for a variety of reasons. The first and biggest reason I've seen is the lack of content. Compared to New Leaf and even earlier games, it took New Horizons a long time before it saw an increase in content. Things like diving in the sea and the Roost Cafe took longer than expected to be added, and it felt like the game got old after about a week. I do mostly agree with this. I do feel that the game could have definitely used more quality of life improvements to give you motivation to keep playing, though I would still argue that New Horizons has enough to warrant $60, but yeah, I do definitely agree that there was a big issue with content, especially near launch, and that the game kind of does lose its luster after about a week, but hey, I think I still enjoyed it quite a lot. Another big criticism with the game, and this isn't necessarily a gameplay thing, but I'm going to just throw it in here anyways, is the villagers, as they feel a lot less like real villagers and more robotic. What I mean is that lots of character was gutted from the villagers, and while yeah, they are just NPCs in these games, they used to offer a lot more during conversation. Things like playing games and talking about other villagers. Most villagers in New Horizons feel the same aside from their design, as they all have very similar speech patterns, and this criticism I do have to agree with, as while I understand they are simply NPCs, they don't really give you the illusion that they are real, which kind of breaks some of the immersion of the game. So I do agree with that. And if there's one critique of my own that I want to add, to kind of go back to the whole crafting system thing, I feel like the crafting system kind of ruins bells, as I feel like bells in this game are kind of worthless, as everything is tied to the crafting system, which makes bells even more useless than ever. Seriously, I got like so many of them in like the bank thing, it's ridiculous. Okay, but enough of the critiquing. The gameplay of this game is quite good, but I don't think it works well for longevity's sake, as I feel the game could use a lot more to keep people playing for longer than maybe say a week or two. But it is undeniable that this game was very good when it came out. Like I said before, people couldn't go outside much when it came out originally, so having this island to maintain and customized however you want was what made New Horizons so much more lucrative for many people during this time. To me, I like the gameplay enough to continue playing the game for a decent amount of time, and every now and then, I do jump back in for an hour or two just to clean up the island, and I feel like New Horizons has some solid gameplay with some decent setbacks. Okay, so now it's time to talk about some things that aren't big enough to put in their own sections, starting off with the music. This is another aspect of the game many people dislike, and while I wouldn't say that New Horizons soundtrack is the best of the series, I personally like the music quite a bit. but it's nice to listen to. I am playing some of it in the background, and while yes, again, I wouldn't say it's the best in the series, I still think it's good. I feel like a lot of people were just disappointed because it's not New Leaf, which to be fair, that game did have a very, very good soundtrack, but hey, New Horizons music is still pretty solid. And another last thing that I should probably mention is the Happy Home Paradise DLC that I never played. Apparently, from what I've heard, it's okay, from what I know, with the DLC kind of being like that of an extension of Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer for the 3DS, so that's cool. If you like designing houses and stuff like that, you might like this DLC. But yeah, with these smaller things out of the way, like I said, it wouldn't be very long. Let's conclude this video. I know I have talked a bit negatively about New Horizons, but I need to reiterate, Animal Crossing New Horizons is a good game, and I do like it. I think the game has great visuals for the Switch, the gameplay additions feel really nice, most of the time that is, and the core gameplay is fun. But I feel like this game's major problem is that the peak of the series already happened. Animal Crossing New Leaf simply did many things better than that of New Horizons, so naturally New Horizons was going to have a more difficult uphill battle. And while yes, I do love New Leaf more, way more than New Horizons, it doesn't change the fact that New Horizons is fun. It's not for everyone, and I do think there were several missteps, but considering this game sold so many units and helped bring people together during such harsh times, I feel like that has to mean at least something, right? Do I recommend Animal Crossing New Horizons? I'd say so. I'd say if you can get it for a decent price, I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. If you're not really a life simulation gamer kind of person, I probably wouldn't recommend it, but if you are and you haven't played it, I'd recommend it. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. It's kind of up to you the way I see it. But the way I see it, Animal Crossing New Horizons is a really solid game for the Switch that I think gets way more hate than it deserves. But that's what I think, and this is where you guys come in. So if you guys enjoy this video, please let me know in the comment section what you think of the game. I definitely want to see if you guys shared my same sentiment, or if you guys have criticisms that I didn't mention. I'd be glad to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. Also, let me know in the comment section if you guys would want to see me do more videos like this, where I kind of talk about some more decisive games and kind of talk about whether I like them or dislike them. I'd be totally down for doing more videos like this. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed. If you guys haven't seen any of my other videos, I'd recommend checking those out because some of those are pretty solid. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out and take care, everybody.